Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the opening of the 6th International Sibelius Conference here in the birth town Hämeenlinna. I will say some words a little bit more later, but I just want to say that it's very nice that we have also music, because that's the main thing in this conference. We are very lucky that we could get Madoka Sato and Folke Gräsbeck to perform in this opening ceremony. And first piece what they are going to play is from Sibelius F Major Sonata, second movement Anna. Welcome.
Dear Sibelius conference participants, ladies and gentlemen, I have the greatest pleasure to welcome you all to Hämeenlinna and to our nice Congress and Culture Center Verkatelas. My name is Timo Kenakkala and I'm the mayor of the city of Hämeenlinna. To begin with, so I would like to tell you a little bit about Hämeenlinna, have a short introduction about the city. I won't go too deep into the Sibelius, the connection between Hämeenlinna and Sibelius, because I think Erkki Korhonen will do that a little bit later on after my short presentation. Well, regarding Hämeenlinna, Hämeenlinna is the oldest inland town in Finland. It was founded in 1639 by the Swedish General Governor Per Brahe. At that time, Finland was under the Swedish rule. Our landmark here in Hämeenlinna is the old medieval red brick castle, the Häme Castle. We have nearly 70,000 inhabitants here in Hämeenlinna, and we are the 14th biggest city in Finland. We are very well positioned in the middle of the most important growth corridor in Finland. 50% of the gross national product is generated in the area of this growth corridor, originating from Helsinki through Hämeenlinna to Tampere. We have over 4 million Finns living within 1.5 hours drive away from Hämeenlinna. Hämeenlinna is a traditional and vibrant educational and cultural town at the junction of the nationally important rail, road and waterway connections. Living up to its vision, Hämeenlinna is a lively, beautiful and pleasant beach town in southern Finland, which strives for sustainable development and offers visitors and citizens a variety of services and cultural activities. The city itself is surrounded by beautiful natural reserves, lakes and forests, and we have the Finland's first and world's second national urban park, a unique combination of natural beauty and culture. Hämeenlinna is also the city of children and youngsters. We got the recognition from UNICEF in 2013. We are the first child-friendly city in Finland. We are recognized as a city taking children in the core of our activities. And we also have a mission to build a good day for the child. We also try to get children involved in the city actions, and the last action, as an example, was a few weeks ago when we are updating our strategy, and we asked children that what kind of city they want to live in. Regarding the goals of the city and sustainable development, Maija, a small girl, said about Hämeenlinna, it is a kind of nice city where there are nice people and not too much people everywhere. Jussi, a small boy, explained the sustainability. Sustainable lifestyle is the kind of culture where the habits do not disappear, like the decoration of the Christmas tree. Good explanation for vision and goals for the city. Regarding culture, we opened the Kandala Festival Park this summer, and the first concert was performed by the rock group AC/DC, and it was really fantastic to see 55,000 spectators enjoying a warm July evening, people full of joy. 55,000 people in a festival park in a city with nearly 7,000 people. So something very fantastic. Well, Hämeenlinna is respecting its history and culture are elements on which we are building our future and vitality. Hämeenlinna also has a history of Olympic Games. During 1952 Helsinki Olympic Games, the modern pentathlon competition was held in our Ahmeisto area. This area has now been renovated and taken back in use for the citizens. This is one example of how the city wants to respect its history. Then, of course, our national composer, Sibelius, was born here in Hämeenlinna 150 years ago. This year we are celebrating Sibelius throughout the whole year which is now getting closer to the end. We have several Sibelius-related sites here in the city, the birthplace of Jean Sibelius, Sibelius Park, Sibelius Center, where different types of Sibelius articles are being sold. I recommend you to visit there. As mentioned before, we are interested to develop our city through cultural activities. The city wants to thank the organizers of this Jean Sibelius conference to arrange this year's conference here in Hämeenlinna. Personally, I hope that the conference will be an inspiring one. The program seems to be interesting, covering a broad spectrum of Sibelius topics. Hämeenlinna wants to get permanent activities concerning our national composer also in the future. We already have a good basis, but this year will result even more actions and activities. We really want to be the capital city of Sibelius. When you, respective organizers, are planning future activities and places regarding International Jean Sibelius Conference, do not forget us. We are interested to continue discussions in the name of the birth city of Jean Sibelius. I hope you will be inspired by Sibelius and Hämeenlinna, now and also in the future. Welcome to Hämeenlinna.
Thank you, Timo. And we continue our musical program. Madoka and Folke want to share with us some youth and young works of Sibelius, like a sonata is from year 1889, when Sibelius was 23 years old. And next piece, what they share with us is sketch Grave in D minor for violin and piano, and it's from years 1891-94. And then Sibelius finally used the music to the tableau of the press celebration days in November 1899 there in Swedish Theatre, and that tableau's name got the Great Hostility, and that's the Finnish campaign of this war, of the Great Nordic War. So, welcome Madoka and Folke. Yes, that's also idea to share such one don't hear every day of the Sibelius' music. So, Hämeenlinna is really the place to be in this year, the 150th anniversary of his birth. And just the place where we are now, Verkatehdas, that has, this factory has founded 1865, actually just the same year when Sibelius was born. And why this factory came here, that's then the reason is railway. What was Emperor of the Russia, Alexander II, ordered that one has to make it from Hämeenlinna to Helsinki, 1862, after the Crimean War, because the British Navy was bombing the Finnish coast, and he wanted that one can move then the army troops fast to the coast if British Navy is attacking again. And also the army base, and because here's the castle, as Timo Kenakkala mentioned, after the Crimean War, Alexander II wanted to make this stronger and bigger, and Sibelius' father, Christian, came here as an army doctor. So it was some kind of fate, what we can judge now, choose wisely that Charles Sibelius' place of birth was in Hämeenlinna, because then there was the railway, and because of the railway, world stars, pupils of Liszt and Paganini, they came here to have a concert. And Sibelius listened to those concerts and got ideas what's going on in music life in the world. Also, Pauline Lucca, soloist from the Kaiserliche Oper Vienna, Wiener Staatsoper, had a concert here, and Sibelius was turning pages in that concert. And then got acquainted with Pauline, and when he went to study in Vienna, Pauline asked him to his salon, and there he met very important musicians like Johannes Brahms and Bruckner and so on. So that networking took place here in that very small Hämeenlinna, in that time only 3,000 inhabitants. And because of the railway, Hämeenlinna was chosen the most important Finnish-spoken gymnasium, Hämeenlinna Lyceum, 1874, and Sibelius went to that school 9 years in Finnish language. So in the end he spoke as well Finnish and Swedish, and also they read there Kalevala, our national epic. Also, it happened here in Hämeenlinna 1863 that Alexander II wrote here the language law, that Finnish language is official language in this country. And then one needs a school system, and that's the most important Finnish-spoken school was here in Hämeenlinna. And there was not yet too much Finnish literature, so they read Kalevala in that school. So Sibelius knew these Kalevala poems by heart, and that was also then later very important, because his first international breakthrough was, as you everybody know, it was the Kullervo Symphony, and then Lemminkäinen and so on. Very many different music works what were based on Kalevala. Also, he wrote in his diary of the Sonatina Opus 80, what is in E major, that he imagines himself here in Hämeenlinna on the Vanajavesi lakeshore as a young boy, and it's a sunny day, he's 12 years old, and everything is happy and okay. There is also his aunts, they wrote down in 20s of the Sibelius' childhood, and I read a little bit of that, what they said. The children liked to go down to the lakeshore, where they played around with stones and splashed in the water with their little hands. But often Janne would become abstracted, and his mother would find him studying the movement of the waves or the reflection of the sun on the shimmering surface of the lake Vanajavesi. Sometimes he would be gazing at the green summer meadows of the Virveli across on the other side, sometimes at the hazy blue hills of Hattelvala. he seemed almost to be wondering all that mysterious world that opened up to him from his home shore. And actually that home shore, when you go out from this Verkatehdas, it's just there. And that bay, what you look, that's the Virveli Bay, and behind is the Hattemala Hill. So that's you are just in that Sibelianic landscape. You can get in very deeply to that here. And also that urban park, what is here, Kaupunginpuisto and Aulanko, that's also where Sibelius escaped to improvise. In his diary, what just during that Sibelius violin competition was published there in Musiikkitalo, this diary what was edited by Fabian Dahlström, he wrote in August 1912, "I would like to compare symphony to a river. It will get its water from countless small little brooks and streams, and then ends mightily and broad to the sea. But in these days, the river is just made. One just digs its pride. One just made it. But where does one take the water? In other words, one don't let the motive and the musical idea to find its own form, but one just makes it bright and mighty, and one tries to fill it. But where does one take the music? You, lovely ego, you have found that very early. Marvelous, just like that." So actually these ideas, what he got here as a small boy, he used throughout his life, as he says also in his diary. And so, ladies and gentlemen, on the behalf of the committee of the 6th International Jean Sibelius Conference, I should like to very warmly welcome you all to Hämeenlinna, the birthtown of Johann Julius Christian Sibelius. And I'm very delighted to welcome so many Sibelius scholars and enthusiasts from all over the world, and look forward to sharing with you many moments of inspiration and light of new knowledge here in authentic atmosphere of the young Janne Sibelius. And that light that actually guides us to the last music piece today. As Sibelius said, 12 years old, that in that E major sonatina, that he looks backward to his youth and bright sun. So it's E major is key for him: youth, sunshine, light, and that we will hear now in novelette E major by Folke and Madoka. I wish you all very interesting conference days here in Hämeenlinna, and once again warmly welcome to the birthplace of Sibelius.
distinguished mayor of the town, dear president of the Finland's Sibelius Society, distinguished Sibelius scholars from many countries, and all the participants. I feel very honored to be able to say a few words, also as one of the scholars who will be speaking here. And let me start telling that when this morning we came by train from Helsinki with my wife here, and the conductor came to take the ticket, he asked me, is there some kind of party in Hämeenlinna, because there are so many people going to. He used the word pippalot, by the way. Then I said, oh, don't you know that there is the 6th International Sibelius Conference? Then he answered, oh, now I understand why there were so many learned men in the train. He used the word lukumiehiä, by the way. No, anyway, here we are, and this is really the 6th International Conference, and of course, we have to, for the first, thank very much for all those authorities and all the institutions who have been actively working for this event. So there are so many that I don't make the list here, but let me also say that it's lovely to be just after these musical performances, which just brought us to the very authentic atmosphere of Hämeenlinna. We have the music of the period, and now we are in a very original place. Because I think that we Finns have a responsibility to do these conferences every now and then, because however, here Sibelius was born, and here we have many of the sources. Now, if I compare the situation now in the Sibelius field and in the year 2000, when the first Sibelius conference was organized at the University of Helsinki together with Sibelius Academy, I must say that there is a very big difference indeed. Because in these 15 years, very much has happened. Much serious work has been done. Of course, the foremost has been the Gesamtausgabe project by the National Library of Finland, and then publishing all kinds of documents of Sibelius' life, the diaries, which Erkki Korhonen quoted, for instance, which just appeared also as Finnish translation, by the way, and correspondence and many doctoral theses, and many indeed. And then, of course, we have the growing Sibelius cult in Finland, which seems to have no limit at all. So we have been very surprised how much there have been events around Sibelius, not only in Finland but also abroad in this year. Anyway, this is a scientific symposium, and now we can ask that what can we bring more to this phenomenon around Sibelius with our musicological enterprises. And I would like to say that all science starts from a kind of pre-understanding, we say Vorverständnis in German, of the phenomena. So science in the humanities never starts from a 0 point. So there's always something which is guiding our attention. And so what is this competence from which we start? Of course, the people who are here, we are all, I would say, Sibelians. Who is a Sibelian? Is he, what does it mean? Is he something like a Wagnerian? Well, who can be Sibelian? Should he be a Finn? No, because we have many Wagnerians who are not Germans. So I think anyone can be a Sibelian who believes in his message and who wants to foster the cultural heritage which Sibelius is in the whole world, I would say. And so this kind of cultural heritage can live only if people are always actively doing something for it. I was just in October in London at the Shakespeare Congress. My theme was Shakespeare and music. Of course, I spoke of Tempest, but I noted how the British people know their Shakespeare in advance, so that people they laughed just in the right moment in the. So I think the Finns and Sibelians know their Sibelius very well, so it's based on that. Anyway, when I looked at the program, which is very rich and exciting, I noticed that there are certain the speeches belong to certain categories. So I don't mention any names here, but I made a list of the categories from a scientific and musicological point of view. And they are the following: theory, and now theory in musical sense, close to what we call analysis. Reception in different countries, Sibelius cult and Sibelius as an icon. And by the way, I will add that here we have, it's something analogous to Marshall Mannerheim. I mean that we have a lot of documentary work on both these national heroes, but interpretation comes thereafter, and we need always new imitation. Contemporary music, composers, and musical life, so where we are now. Biography, started of course by the older Erik Tavasana, and let me mention here that next year is the centenary of Erik Tavasana. We shall have a small exhibition of this great Sibelius scholar. Genres, classical, popular, crossover, absolute music. So genres in Sibelius, media in all its varieties, politics, propaganda, many issues, intertextual, transdisciplinary field, so anything in the other arts like ballet and so, work studies, so studies focusing in one particular work, performance practices, instrumental, cello, violin, piano, voice, so all considered. Aesthetics. Aesthetics is very rich category indeed, and we only remember Ilmari Kroon and his book on the Der Stimmungsgehalt of Sibelius. So he called it Stimmungsgehalt, so the emotional atmosphere in his symphonies. Then history of Finland, history of this country and how Sibelius is linked there. Topics, the pastoral, the military, etc. Style, early Sibelius, late Sibelius, and comparative study, Sibelius and certain composers, other composers, and then recording and technology. So there are really many categories, I would say, but I would say for the first that in spite of all this fact that we are amidst Sibelius documents and history, I think we are not gathered here, and we never go to a Sibelius concert in the first place to listen his music as a document of Finland's independence or any Finnish culture, I would say. But we go there because his music is talking to us. So he has what Karl Dahlhaus said, an aesthetische Gegenwärtigkeit, so aesthetical contemporaneity, so he's talking to us, indeed. In science, we often have some methodology, some theory, some epistemology even, and there are many such approaches which all perhaps seem to a little bit diminish the object Sibelius, so that Sibelius with big S becomes Sibelius with small s. So he's seen only as representing something like in anthropology or British cultural theory or mediation or ideology or new musicology or philosophy, in which of course we have Adorno's famous essay on Sibelius, but to say something for Adorno even, we must remember that he was a philosopher, and he thought that philosopher is higher than a musician. So as a philosopher, he thought that philosopher can criticize, even Beethoven can be criticized, so that's the background. But anyway, I mean that we have this, but now at the end, what is our object, Sibelius? Is there anything like object like Sibelius? No, I agree with my past colleague Erkki Salmenharra that there is no musical object, because music exists everywhere. It's in composer's mind, it's in performance, it's in the score, it's in the instrument, it's everywhere, so that it doesn't exist in any particular point, I would say. And then ideology behind cultural theory, all these issues, but I don't know. what we are striving for, what is the legitimation of the Sibelius research in this very broad cultural context in which we are living. I would say we are making a discourse about Sibelius, a discourse. I remember Eeri Tavasana was very suspect about the term discourse. When I showed my doctoral thesis and he saw the term discourse, he said, what is that discourse? Then he took the English dictionary. Yes, indeed, there's the word discourse, so you can use it. So we are making some we call meta-language and even narratives about Sibelius. But at the end, I think we are searching for the truth. That may sound rather pathetic, but we seek for the truth about Sibelius. But let me say that in modern science, some say, like my teacher Gremas in Paris, that il n'y a pas de vérité, il n'y a que véridiction. There is no truth, there are only statements about truth. Well, I would say that they are just these statements about Sibelius we are making here during these long days, and I'm quite sure that this will be very rewarding to all of us. And let me once again thank the organizers of this quite particular event in the life of all the Sibelians of the world. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Eero. And now we can have a short break and then we continue 1 o'clock here. I mean, of course, 12 o'clock.